Hi, beautiful. How are you? And welcome to my YouTube page. My name is Kareem McGee. I was just joking around because I have been flagged on several of my videos for playing music that I don't own permission to. So I figured I'll start this video with my own That could actually be a song, right? Anyhow, welcome to my YouTube page and my YouTube channel, my YouTube community. I want to say thank you so much for stopping by. If this is your first time ever watching one of my YouTube videos or coming to my page, I want to say thank you so much. I would love to have you as a part of the family. Become a part of the tribe and hit that subscribe button. The other thing that you can do is so that you can be notified whenever I upload a new video. You can hit that little notification bell, and that will notify you whenever I upload a new video. That way you don't miss anything. Happy December the 21st. Isn't it awesome? We're now in the age of Aquarius, and before we get into today's video, let me just make I want to make mention of the time period that we are in right now. The age of Aquarius is calling us forward, to a new beginning. So things as we knew it will fall away. Old ways will fall away. And, tonight, we'll be able to see all of that magnificent glory in the cosmos. If you get yourself a telescope tonight, you'll be able to see the planetary alignment that's happening. I believe the last time that happened was 1632, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, we have planetary alignments every 20 or so years, but this one's absolutely special because we are now in a new age, and it's just a magical thing. You can see, especially if you are a Christian, tonight will be a really good night to witness what they call the Christmas star. Grab your telescope and just get up there and look and see all the beauty in the cosmos. It's going to be absolutely stunning. I hope you are somewhere perhaps where there's not a lot of light pollution, so you get a real good look at what's going on up there. But yeah, happy December the 21st. Oh gosh, this is the day to manifest whatever it is that you want to manifest. Because so much is going on in the cosmos, we can use that energy energetically. We are inhabitants of this planet, and so we can use the energy that we are surrounded with daily. I absolutely believe that, and I believe that you can take advantage of this time too. So get outside tonight. Make sure you witness what's going on in the cosmos, and tonight will be a really good day or night to wish upon a star. I'm a hopeless romantic, so wishing upon a star is an absolute necessity, especially with what we got going on in the cosmos. Anyway, today's video is going to be it's going to be so good. If you are a woman and you are on your path to reinventing yourself or discovering yourself, or maybe you're on the journey or you've been on the journey and you're not too sure, this is going to be the video for you, because this video kind of confirms that you have a right to reinvent yourself as many times as you see fit. As many times as you see fit. And I tell that to my clients, I tell that to my readers, I tell that to my students. If ever you were unhappy or uncomfortable with who you are right now, guess what? You can reinvent yourself. And you have all right to reinvent yourself as many times as you see fit. I know people out there are calling it level up, they're calling it this, they're calling it that, but the true thing is that it's evolution of who you are. And the truth is, people are going to hold you hostage to who you used to be. And sometimes you have to invite them to the new you. So you got to reintroduce them to who you are now. And sometimes that is not an easy thing to do, but it's absolutely necessary, especially if they are holding you hostage to who you used to be. So if you want to learn something about the evolution of a woman, this is going to be the video for you. I'm reading from my book, Psychological Ramblings of a Traveling Gypsy. I'm going to go ahead and cue the intro, and then you come on back so you and I can chat, okay? Cue intro. yourself a snack, because guess what, mama? We are going to go all the way in, okay? We are reading from my book, Psychological Ramblings of a Traveling Gypsy. And editors, if you can place it right here for me, that would be fantastic. Okay, we're reading from my book, Psychological Ramblings of a Traveling Gypsy, and we are on page 17. If you see me looking down, that's because I can't read from the teleprompter for some reason. I'm going to learn, but in the meantime, I need to be able to touch my pages and read my words. And so if you see me looking down, that's exactly what I'm doing, okay? So we are on page 17, and page 17 is entitled, What is the Sorta Energy? To be a woman is to be a divine force in cooperation with divinity. Okay. And side note, never let anyone reduce you to the sheer fact of just being a woman. Okay. Or not being the prize and all of that. Okay. Those folks need to read book 2. Okay. I just had to say that and plug that. Because to be a woman is to be a divine force in cooperation with divinity. This co-creation with source energy gives us the right to call ourselves godship, goddess energy, femininity, or divine powers. So because the woman has a specific tool, we are the gateway for human beings on this planet. We are the gateway. Now, does that take away from the fact that there needs to be both man and woman in order for co-creation to happen? Absolutely not. It does not take away from that fact, but it does recognize the fact that there's an extra step required, that the woman is required to nurture that child and to develop that child, into ordinary man or ordinary woman, or extraordinary man and extraordinary woman. That is the job of the woman. So we have to respect that sacred seat. We cannot dethrone women because of our everyday encounters or insecurities with them. We have to understand that the women of this planet, we are the gatekeepers, okay? And we will not be dethroned. Our African ancestors didn't leave much to the imagination, as they were very vocal and handed down oral traditions. They left behind many points of reference. If ever we are to be confused about who we are and what we are to become, the temple walls of ancient Egypt, or I would say ancient Kemet, provide us with examples of feminine energy and sisterhood. As it relates to femininity, we can look to Heteru for beauty tips, makeup and all that stuff. We can look to Heteru. Het. We can look to the temple walls for those things. We can look to Heteru for beauty tips and for guidance on sensuality and femininity. We can observe the divine sistership of Ost and Enbedhet, or Enbedhet, however you say that. Or Ast is what we know in the Western world as Isis, or an Enbedhet is her sister, or what you guys would call her sister wife in modern day times. And I don't want to get too deep into the culture, but that's it. If ever we needed to get some clarity on what femininity is, our ancestors have left us with an immortal. They've given us an immortal image of what it means to be feminine, and what it means to be a woman, and what it means to share duties with another woman, and how to cooperate with other women. We can look to our temple walls for that, okay? The beautiful Yoruba people of Nigeria have given us the beauty of Oshun. We have the traditions of Yemeya. They've left no stone unturned when it comes to understanding the divine feminine spirit. The ancestors have left us so much that there was no need for another name for expressing feminine power, because the world over, every tradition speaks to the ultimate feminine spirit. Hence why I say we will not be dethroned from our goddessship or from our co-creation with divinity. We are woman, and we are not just sex objects or tools or to be put on a pedestal as a something that you look upon, but we are to be respected, adored, admired, honored, and all of those things that you do when you put queens on a throne. Okay? The Greeks have Aphrodite. The Buddhists have Kuan Yin, who is the Egyptian equivalent of Isis. And what you'll find in culture is that there's always an equivalent to what we find in one culture. We can see it or find it in another. And that's the beauty of humanity, is that wherever you go in the world, the stories are similar. The ideas of godship and goddessship and worship it's the same story retold, but just in different tongue. The tongue of that nation, the tongue of that region. And that's something that we'll get into later. I don't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole. The Irish have our Eru, and the list goes on and on. So let's assume that there are thousands of names throughout of history of life and living that speak to the power of the feminine. I decided to add the perfect one to the list. And that perfect one that I've added is Asana. Asana is a fictional character that I've been adding to my books. And Asana is what I would call the epitome of femininity. And she has an elder who is teaching her the ropes. And so this is my way of taking women back to the hut, so to the village, so that they can learn what ancients taught about femininity and sexuality and sensuality and all of those things. The modern day world kind of serves as a disservice to women who want to completely be respected as more than just sexual objects, but to be revered and accepted for true divinity as it relates to femininity. Okay, and so when I created Asana, I had that in mind. I had all of the stories that my elders had given me. I reached to certain traditions and I pulled those things and I put it into the story and the teachings that Elder Eden gives to Asana. I put that in a book so that you guys can learn it and picture it from that perspective. Versus giving you a book and on history, I created the fictional character Asana. Okay? Asana has one thing that at some point in history, his story decided to change with regards to feminine expression. Asana energy is complete. She is the one goddess energy that does not need the masculine energy to be complete. She was not created for the masculine, nor for let's go back, okay? Because I need people to understand this, and this is where I know a little feathers are going to be ruffled, but I need you to understand where we're going, okay? So let me backtrack. Asana energy is complete. She's the one goddess energy that does not need masculine energy to be complete. She was not created from the masculine, nor for the masculine. Now, in several different religious mainly in Christianity, and this is no disrespect to Christianity, but the woman was made from the rib of Adam, and so there's a certain respect that you have when someone comes from you, and we do know in as life and living that when we bore babies, the babies come from. So my perspective is coming from that perspective, not from the fact that the woman came from the man, but as it is in our everyday waking, walking life, where the man comes from the woman as a shared exchange between both man and woman before the woman as the gatekeeper brings that child to the planet. Okay, I want to make sure I express that because several of my readers have had that question, and so that's why these videos are important, so that I can speak to those things. Okay, so she was not created from the masculine nor for the masculine. She was not created to serve him nor to be in debt to him. She owes him nothing as it relates to her existence, and in fact, neither does he. Here is the most important piece here that I need everyone to understand. And this is why this book is super important, is because when we say, or when we approach the male-female relationship dynamics, when we approach it and we think that the woman is in debt to the man because, there will be no you without me, when the woman is saying that to the man, there will be no you without me, then we lose the respect that we need to have as the masculine and the feminine. So she wasn't created from him, for him, but neither was he. There is a divine interaction that needs to happen when we respect that both masculine and feminine is necessary in order for there to be co-creation. And so we respect both the masculine and the feminine in that way. And I hope that makes sense, okay? So the way I see it, both the masculine and the feminine are but representations of the earthly laws in line with what the ancient Chinese call the yin and the yang. So that's why, remember what I said a few sentences before. I said that when we are approaching the woman as from the Christian perspective, as the woman came from the man, then we are looking from it from the spiritual perspective. But in my writings, we are looking at things as they are in the physical, everyday, waking, walking life. And so as I see it, the masculine and the feminine are what we call the polarities of life and living, the hot versus the cold, the up versus the down, the in versus the out, the yin and the yang. Two separate ends of the spectrum, but from the same source, if that makes sense. And I want to go too deep because that you will find out in book 3, okay? Oh, well, it's actually in the next line. Both opposites of the same energy, hence that of itself, divinely reflected, equally co-creators. Hear me. Both opposite of the same energy, because like I said, hot, cold, up, down, left, right, different polarities of the same spectrum, or the same energy, hence that of itself. That of itself is important. That the word, that of itself, divinely reflected, equally co-creators. So when I am looking at my mate, or when I am looking at my husband, I am looking at a divine reflection of myself, and he is looking at a divine reflection of himself. And so when we can look at our spouses, or our mates, or our husbands, or our wives as divine reflections of each other, there's a different kind of exchange that we get with one another. Okay, and it also allows the women to be back on the throne, and it allows the man to be on the throne as well. Equally co-creators, not equal. Okay, not equal in a feminine sense. You'll have to read my book to figure out what I mean by that. From what I've come to understand about men as I've helped support hundreds of women over my 20 years of holistic healing, they're constantly seeking refuge in the feminine. It's almost as if the energy is trying to return back to the energy into which it came. The urge to be near her, to breathe her, to smell her, to feel her, and for most men to travel within her heaven. I liken the sexual act to a divine marriage agreement to reach heaven together. I like the idea of a spiritual connection of a man and a woman. I liken the idea to the roadmap they both will need to get there. So they both need each other to get there. And where is there? There is to experience a divine connection. A lot of us are in relationships that imagine. So it's as they need each other to survive. And if they don't recognize that they need each other to survive and to thrive, then the world as we know it will be completely changed forever. So the fact that men will begin wars for just a taste of heaven. And when I'm speaking of heaven, I'm speaking about the heavenly gates of a woman. Okay. The fact that men will begin wars just for the taste of heaven leads me to believe that Asana, who is truly has the power in this earthly realm, contrary to religious dogma, Asana is what the man is after. The masculine is on a request to return to God, the woman. And we will get into that as you read my book, that's deeper, but this is where I'm going to stop. And this is where I need my sisters to listen, okay? Do not let anyone reduce you in size and in stature, okay? Stand 10 feet tall and stand in it. Stand in your femininity and do not waver and do not bow. Because there's something magical about this sheer essence of a woman. And if you have not been living truly in your femininity all this time, well, today is a great day to decide to discover who you are as a woman and what that means. Not what the world has told you that it meant, not what pop culture has told you that it meant, not with, religious dogma and all those other. Find within yourself who you are as a woman and allow that to come forward. Think about refinement and what it means to learn something new and experience something more and start to develop this inner beauty. Allow it to come forward and ride that wave. Because it's once you ride that wave of who you are as a woman that the world will embrace you as such. But they can't do that when you are tied to the old you. And the world is tied to the old you too. It's okay to decide that you want to be more. And you don't owe anyone an apology for wanting to improve who you are. You don't owe anyone anything. The only soul that you owe something is your own self. And that self should say, who am I today? And what do I want to become? And then you go out in the world and you be that. And you be it without apology. And you be it. Don't let them reduce you to a sexual object that they can see whenever they want to. No. Accept the fact that you are a divine sacred woman. And men, accept the fact that you're a divine sacred king man. It's getting hot in here. It makes a girl want to take off. Whew. Okay. Before I flip out, because I get really passionate about this, what I really would like to see the world move forward to is what I call sacred relationships, okay? That's where we don't reduce a man to his sheer pockets, right? And only his pockets, and we reduce the woman only to what she looks like for right now. I want a world or a revolution, and this is why I can create my books, because I can create my books and make those characters do those things, but I would love to see a world where sacred relationships are normal. And when you hear a husband talk to his wife, you know for a fact that is his wife. Some years ago, I would say I was 19 years old. Was I 19? I met my mentor, Baba Herura Aksamar Sekata, in New York, okay? He's been my mentor ever since then. And when I walked into the Shrine of Pata at that time, he was on the phone with Queen of Hawaii. So on the phone with Queen of Hawaii, and he said, it was the way that he was talking to her. And at that time, I was going to him because I was getting married, and he was going to be making my rings and taking my mother's diamonds and doing something with it. And when I heard him talk to her, I knew it was the reverence that he had for that woman. There is a certain, what's the word? There is a certain way you treat your wife when you admire her in a sacred way versus you just seeing her as a piece of paper to complete or to check one of the X's on your box, What we're talking about here is sacred relationships. And these are happening where a woman is completely, fully confident in herself as a woman, accepts herself as so, evolves into herself, accepts herself as a sacred woman, and the man accepts himself as a sacred king man, and they get together and they make something beautiful for the world. If we had enough people getting together to make something beautiful, to become examples to the world, oh my gosh, what magic can we make? And even myself, I did not know that, and I got So many messages. When I first got married, I invited the whole city of Plainfield. I ran newspaper ads to invite the whole city to come out. And, we were doing a traditional African wedding under our Kemetic traditions. And so, the opening of the way people weren't used to see, the garments that we had, they weren't used to. And so we were creating something magical. And the people looked and they saw an example, and I didn't realize that that's what we were doing, because we were just being ourselves. It was culturally who we were. I have, up until this very day, okay, that was so long ago, all right, life has moved on. But up until this day, I still get messages from people who say, I was at your wedding, you changed my life. Or I was at your you changed my life. When people are able to look at your love and your bond and your relationship, and they say, I want that because it looks healthy. Not I want that because it's full of money and they balling out in these streets, they got cars, no. But I want that because the way he looks at her, the way he talks to her, the way she talks to him, the way she adores him. My husband, yes. My husband, yes. My wife, yes. My wife, yes. My husband, yes. My wife, yes. That is a sacred divine kingship and a sacred divine queenship that we must return to. But we can't do that if women don't strip themselves of all of the modern day stuff that's not getting us there. And if the men don't strip themselves of all the modern day machismo, macho, jumbo that's not getting us there. The one thing that will get us there, if we all just stopped and breathe for a second and look back to the way our ancestors did it, or the way it needs to be done. Oh gosh, when I think about the beauty of a sacred relationship, or just when a man tells his wife that he got it and she ain't got to worry, and she trusts him to have it. She trusts him to have it. And she doesn't talk to him reckless and disrespectful and curse him out, because it's a sacred relationship. It's a sacred relationship. When she looks at her husband, there's a certain reverence that she has for him. And when he looks at her, there's a certain reverence that he has for her. Now, long are the days where we see those kind of relationships. Now people are in relationships where everybody has to be in control. Everybody has to be the head and the neck at the same time. No one wants to relax and assume any kind of position. Long gone are those days. And that's why my books are necessary. Book 1, 2, and 3 is necessary, not just for the culture, but to save. And this is what I think. To save what I know is necessary. The relationship of a black man and a black woman in a sacred way. The relationship of a brown woman and a brown man in a sacred way. The relationship of a man and a woman in a sacred way. We must return. We must return. We cannot live. We're going to have unlimited amounts of relationships that are not depositing something back to the culture and depositing something back to humanity. We must plant the seeds. Now, see, if they can get us to not be interested in creating divine relationships with each other, then we can't build generational wealth. You can't build generational wealth when you are remarrying every 10 years. I'm going to encourage you to be okay in all of your femininity. And do not be reduced. Return back to your throne, beloved. You belong on your throne as a woman. You belong on your throne as a woman. Don't let them strip you down. Hold your head up high. And the way you conduct yourself in public, or the way you conduct yourself, remember, you are a queen. Face the world with that. Face the world with that. And then Then you would get what my mother says, you get what your hand calls for. Until next time, be empowered, be inspired, and be what? Be well.